We go. What's going on, everybody? I am here with my good friend, Hall of Fame producer here with Family First Life, Mr. Sean Simpson. We got to do the round of applause. That's always fun. It feels good to hear. How you doing, man?
Doing fantastic. How are you?
Yes, I'm good, man. I'm good. Welcome to the studio. Well, hey,
Thanks for having me.
There's going to be some people out there that are looking into what we do. We've obviously got the sign behind us about how we call this the best business ever, and I think that's really what I want to dig into today with you. Sean, you're somebody who has had a successful background as an entrepreneur, but you've also been someone who's grinded it out as a sales representative in multiple roles, and you've landed yourself here selling insurance with Family First Life, but you didn't necessarily come to this opportunity as somebody who was desperate to pay their rent or desperate to pay their mortgage. You saw this opportunity, in your own words, as a way to leave your family a legacy. Tell us a little bit more about, kind of how you came to that, what your background is, and just what you saw here.
Yeah, so my background's in real estate. Well, really my background is in sales. But I got into real estate in 2013 because I thought that that was a very lucrative business, which it is. I'm a real estate investor. I'm not an agent. So I started wholesaling houses, and then I started to buy houses and rehab them. Then from there, I started rehabbing houses and holding on to them into my portfolio. Mm-hmm. And so then I created a couple of other businesses with other business partners that wanted to partner with me, put up some funding as I find the houses and I rehab them. And from there, I was paying contractors, and I thought, well, why don't I just own my own construction company? So I partnered with a guy that's been doing general contracting for over 30 years. Mm-hmm. And we joined a partnership. We started flipping houses, and that's kind of where that went. I have about 48 houses right now. At this point, anyways, we just sold an apartment complex in Sioux City, Iowa. But I saw this opportunity with Family First Life because I heard a podcast with Sean Mike and Brad Lee. Mm. And Sean Mike was talking about how he's got a successful life insurance business. And at the time, I was like, I already have life insurance. I don't really need to hear this. But Sean Mike is a pretty... He draws people's attention.
That's right.
And so I started listening, and I kept listening. He started talking about how he started this company because he wanted to take care of the agents. Yeah. He wanted to put the agents first. And he says, and then he started to explain that he pays the agents the most out of every other company. And I thought, okay, now you got my ear. How much do they make? And he didn't really go into details on how much they make, but then he started talking about some of the policies. And when I bought my policy, it was a term policy. Mm-hmm. And I was under the understanding that after 20 years, when my term is up, that my policy is just done. Yeah. I don't get any money back. And I was like, well, that's kind of like a rental property.
Yeah.
You get the keys and you live under the roof, you're protected. And then at the end, you get the keys back to the landlord.
Yeah. The only person that's lucrative for is the landlord and the insurance company.
Yeah. Yeah. And so my term policy was exactly the same way. And after 20 years, I'm not going to get my money back.
Yeah.
And then Sean Mike was talking about policies out there that you do get your money back. And I was like, really? Yeah. And then he started talking about living benefits and critical, chronic, and terminal, where you get hurt, sick, or injured. You can pay off your mortgage. And I thought, I can sell that policy. I know a lot of people that can use that policy. Mm-hmm. And so I started to do some research on Family First Life. I started to run some numbers. And then what I really thought about this was how much return on investment for time I would have. Meaning, I was already a busy person doing real estate. I was marketing. There's so many moving pieces in real estate that you don't have time to do anything else, right? You got to make time for your family, and I didn't really like that too much. I still do real estate, obviously. I still have those businesses, but I thought, what's my return on investment for time if I were to join this company? And I thought, what does 5 years look like? And I did the numbers. I ran them in my head, and obviously I'm here.
That's awesome. Now, Sean, you've been here for less than a year, correct? Or just over a year?
Just over a year. I'm at my 13th month now.
13th month. So, and then in 10 months in 2022, you went out and you hit Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So anybody who's watching this who doesn't know what Hall of Fame is Sean wrote over $400,000 in annual premium for insurance. So if Betty buys a policy for $84 a month, that's $1,000 a year. That's our average ballpark policy size. Some policies, Sean wrote something last night that was like $5,800 for a husband and wife. And, he's also written policies, I'm sure, that are $49 a month and, $700-800 for the year or even less. So policy size can go up and down, but ballpark, he helped, 400 families last year, which is just incredible. And that enters you into the Hall of Fame with Family First Life. And obviously it can be, super lucrative for you and your family. So tell us a little bit about, your experience selling other things versus selling insurance. And, I've sold other things, and I realized that I was really selling because sometimes people didn't necessarily need what I had, versus I came into the life insurance world and I realized that they actually need this. This actually benefits them. And even if I felt like, wow, I really had to push hard with that family, I never felt like slimy or like oh man, I sold that lady right there. It's like, I really helped her.
Yeah, absolutely. So I cut my teeth in sales in 1996. When I started going door to door selling for a company called Minnesota Meats in Omaha, Nebraska, in the beef state. And I didn't realize what I was doing at the time, but the meat wasn't that great meat, especially since I live in the beef state.
Yeah.
Right.
20 filet mignons for $40.
Right.
That's right.
And so, but I didn't know what I was doing. I had no clue. The people that I was learning from, they didn't know what they were doing. So I had to figure it out on my own. But I needed to make money, and I saw that if I could sell some meat, I would make cash daily, and that's what kept me there, right? And so I kept learning, but I was in a beef state, and people wanted the steaks, but I felt like I had to force it down their throat. Yeah. And just get them to buy it in order to make money. And I got really good at that. And that taught me a lot over the years. But when I got into Family First Life, it was a little bit different. I mean, we have leads, and leads are all people that raised their hand and said, hey, I'm interested in life insurance.
Yep.
And they say, and it's pretty much, I want a quote, right? And they think they want to shop around. Well, when I got on the phone with them, all we're doing is just taking orders, right? We're figuring out what they want, what their need is. And then from there, we find out the best way to fit the best policy for them into their budget.
That's right.
So that they can afford it. It was that simple.
So you've sold, meat, chicken, fish, door to door. You've also sold roofing, siding, doors, windows, that as well?
Yeah.
Okay. What was your experience like in that? Because that's a little bit more, they probably, were you going door to door, or were people requesting you come out and do quotes?
No, so they would actually set our appointments for us.
Okay.
And I worked for Sears, and we had a laptop. I'm from Omaha, Nebraska, and the main office was out of Kansas City.
Okay.
So they had a whole dial team calling from the leads that they would get online, and they would set appointments. And we were trained to take our laptop. We'd have 2, maybe 3 appointments a day. Sometimes we would drive 2, maybe 3 hours out per day and sit with that client. If it was a window, we already knew what the appointment was about, if it was a siding appointment, if it was a heating and air conditioning appointment. But here's the thing. We were trained that to tell them the price within about 2 to 2.5 hours of sitting there. Because that's
a long appointment, man.
It is a long appointment. That's why we only had 2 to 3 appointments a day.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
What did you do for 2.5 hours?
A whole presentation.
Did you? Oh
We
my
had a
gosh.
whole presentation. So we would walk in the door and we'd build rapport with them, sit down with them, talk to them. Then I'd walk around the house and I'd find the repairs, the need, right?
Yeah.
And then what we would do is I'd say, okay, I'm going to pull up my computer and I'm going to run through a presentation and I'm going to show you the benefits of this. And then I would build the value of it. And then at that point in time, we would price condition them, help them understand that it's going to cost them some money.
Yeah.
And get some commitments out of them. And then we would show them the price somewhere around the 2 to 3 to 2.5 hour mark, because there was some statistic out there that if you sat with somebody for about that long, then there was a higher likely chance of them to buy. Now, I don't know if that's true, but that's what Sears told me.
Yeah.
And it worked. I mean, I was pretty successful. I did what I was told to do, and I sold a lot of windows, doors, siding, heating, and air conditioning.
I love it, man. I love it. So then tell us as well, because you got some motivation as well behind why you kind of do what you do. So tell us, story, how you met your wife, kind of what your current family situation is, kind of why you work so hard.
Yeah, so I met my wife. We've been married for almost 20 years now, and I was selling meat, steaks, chicken, and seafood door to door at the time, but I was running an office. I was actually a manager, and I was running an office out of Minneapolis, Minnesota, and my boss, the owner of the company, comes up to me and he says, "Hey, you guys have been doing 1,000 boxes a week. How about this? I'm going to put up a bonus for you guys. If you do 3,000 boxes in 1 week, we're going to take you guys all to Cancun." And so that very next week, we told all the guys, got them all pumped up and fired up. That very next week, we did 3,000 boxes by noon on Friday. And normally we have to work like Saturdays to get 1,000 boxes in.
Yeah.
We were motivated like crazy.
Yeah.
In fact, we got done so early, the owner took us out in a limo that night and we partied it up. Anyways, so then I went down to Cancun, and that's where I met my wife.
Yep.
Okay. And she didn't speak any English. I didn't speak any Spanish.
So you guys just talked with your eyes.
Well, not quite like that, Jamie.
Do you guys have someone translate for you?
We did. So I had some
Okay.
friends of mine that was with me that
Okay.
spoke Spanish, and she had friends of hers that were with her that spoke English.
Nice.
And so we kind of communicated with Spanglish for a while.
Okay.
And then I came back to the States, and she was down there. And this is before Skype and smartphones and everything. And we bought calling cards, and we would just communicate that way through the calling cards for a while.
Yeah.
The first conversation was like a half an hour long, and I think we got like 3 sentences out. It was pretty fun. But obviously it worked out, because now she speaks fluent English, and we're married, and we got 3 kids.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
So you got a beautiful family now. You do have a unique, situation in regards to your family and why you do work so hard. I mean, is that something you're comfortable sharing?
Yeah, absolutely. So I have 3 kids. My oldest daughter is 28, and she's married. They're out of the house. We have a 17-year-old, and we have an 11-year-old. My 17-year-old is fully disabled. She was born with a condition called hydranencephaly, which means she was born without a brain. She has a little bit of her cerebellum back here, about the size of half of my pinky, but she's 17 years old. She's our little angel. And so we have, so my wife doesn't work. We have nurses that come in and out of the house all the time to take care of her. And my wife has her mother living with us as well. She's 85 years old, and she has Alzheimer's. And so we have a nurse there taking care of her. But the nurses, I mean, they're not there 24/7.
Yeah.
And so on the weekends at night, my wife has to stay with my daughter, and she kind of takes care of her mom as well, because they're, in a different room, of course. And so at night, she's up all night, and then come Sunday, she's got to sleep, so that's when I come in and I help her out. And sometimes the nurse doesn't come on Sunday, so I got to help her out on Monday. And so that kind of takes away from a little bit of my time, but we make it work, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you're here in Greenville, South Carolina, so I'm sure that there was some conversations ahead of time to pre-plan to make sure that you guys had all the help that you needed for you to be able to be here and be present, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes whenever we plan something, sometimes it's got to be a year in advance to get the nurses and everybody lined up. And then I have, 6 businesses. I have the real estate companies and then the construction company. So I have responsibilities with my other business partners that are my responsibility that I have to do.
Yeah.
And so that takes time as well. But I have a lot of faith. I'm Christian. And I just don't worry about anything because God says, give it to me.
Absolutely. I mean, to juggle all of that, you're spinning a bunch of plates and you're keeping them all spinning, but it's not just you keeping them spinning,
Yeah.
So that's good, man. That's really cool. So, I mean, it just shows like why you're working so hard to leave a legacy for this family, because passive income, all of these different things that you're working towards, I mean, that gives you leverage, number one, to spend more time with your family, but number two, to potentially be able to help out your wife in ways that she doesn't necessarily have to be on all the time. Yeah. She has an opportunity to, care for your family, in a different way.
Well, absolutely. And I believe that if in my wife, everything that I do, my wife and my family, we have a conversation about. We sit down and we talk. Even my 11-year-old son, we let him know that, look, here's my goal. Here's my dream. In 5 years, I don't want to have to work because I have to. I want to work because I want to. Yeah. Right. And my real estate, my properties that I own, those are for retirement. Yeah. I don't even pull any income from them. They're all for retirement, right? I want to have, by the time I'm 65 years old, even 60 years old, I want to be able to just say, you know what, I want to work because I want to.
Yeah, totally.
And I figured in this business, this is another stream of income for me and my family. And it's another opportunity to help other families, number one, get protected.
Yeah.
Okay, so I believe this is the most noblest business in the world because you're protecting families. But also, I'm also helping other agents build a business and learn how to protect families, which magnifies what we do.
Totally.
And it also helps them help their own family. And in return, I help my own family.
That's powerful because this is probably my 3rd or 4th business that I've been a part of. I consider myself pretty business savvy, but I hear real estate investing and it goes so far over my head in regards to how that all works and the amount of background knowledge that I would have to obtain to be successful at real estate investing that you've had. How long have you been doing that?
A little over 10 years.
A little over 10 years. So a decade of experience, well over 10,000 hours, put it into that to be able to have the understanding that you have. Whereas with life insurance, I was able to get my license in 6 days and help my first family 2 days later.
Yeah.
But if you told me right now, hey, Jamie, with no experience, and I'm not even going to help you, Jamie. You just got to go figure it out. No experience, go get into real estate investing. The barrier to entry there for the average person, that's not easy to get there. But life insurance, you can study for an exam, pass the exam, get contracted with insurance carriers, and be selling insurance within 2 weeks. Go through our boot camp within a handful of days where we teach you and train you. Come out to one of our lock-ins like we're having right now in Greenville, South Carolina. We'll teach you in 24 to 48 hours how to help a family with insurance, and you can get paid 24 to 48 hours later. Talk about no barrier to entry.
Right.
It's powerful.
Simplest business I've ever had. I mean, in my real estate business, what I do is talk about marketing, right?
Yeah.
In real estate, I had to find the houses. So how did I do that? Well, I would pull a list, and sometimes 10,000, 15,000. I got business partners, other colleagues and other businesses that'll pull $50,000 and $60,000, $70,000 lists of properties that they wanted to buy, criteria, right? And then what they're doing is they have dialers. They have virtual assistants that would just dial and dial and dial. I had 2 dialers myself that would dial 8 hours a day. Yeah. I had another virtual assistant that would just answer text messages 8 hours a day through my CRM, through people that would text me wanting to sell their house, right? I don't have time to do all of that just to find an appointment. Now, on top of that, we're sending out mailers, right? And how do we do that? Well, with the same exact list, now we're printing out those 10,000 mailers, and we have church kids or friends come over, and they would lick, stamp, and send mailers 3 days a week, right? So my marketing bill was $15,000-$20,000 a month just to find houses to buy in the competition. But here,
just to find a motivated seller. Crazy.
But here, I just have to buy leads.
Yeah.
I don't even have to go do any marketing.
Yeah.
I just buy the leads.
Yeah, you buy the leads. They've already been marketed to.
Yeah.
And you just get to call them.
This is the simplest business I've ever ran. I don't have moving pieces. So many moving pieces. You know, the bookkeeping for my expenses is real small. I mean, what do we have for expenses?
If you are just an insurance agent, the expenses that we're typically looking at are maybe leads on a weekly basis, which, you know, can be relatively cheap if you're dialing the age stuff like most people are, or they can get really expensive when you have a higher closing ratio, but it's 100% worth it when you're doing that. And maybe a virtual assistant. And I mean, most virtual assistants, $300 a week, but if you're pulling, you know, 10, 15 policies a week and your lead bill's $1,000, $2,000 with a virtual assistant at maybe $300-$400 a week, you're talking maybe $2,500 a week as a top producer with, you know, 10 to 15,000 in commissions coming in a week. I mean, I would do that all day.
Yeah, and you're not starting at 2,500. I mean, you're starting off at maybe, you know, $500 a week.
Yeah,
maybe $1,000 a week.
Yeah, I mean, you teach somebody to get a list of names and phone numbers. You know, $500. They get, you know, a list of 100 phone numbers and names that maybe requested life insurance a month ago, and then they help one family, average commission $1,000. They just doubled their money. They help two families, they quadrupled their money. It's a powerful thing in that regard. When you start consistently helping 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 families a week, there's this thing called the time money pendulum when it comes to buying leads and insurance. In the beginning, you got a lot of time, not a lot of money, so you typically buy older leads that take longer to dial, older leads that need a little bit more motivation to get on the phone. But when you book those appointments, the ROI is through the roof. And then as you get a little bit better, your closing percentage goes up. You get more confident to buy some higher intent leads, some things like direct mail. Those go from, you know, to the other leads, $3-4 to, you know, a direct mail lead that could be $60 to $100 per lead, which, you know, sounds crazy. But then when you're, you know, doing a $2,500, $5,800 last night policy off of an $81 lead, you know, the ROI is also, you know, pretty great on that too.
Today.
Yeah, and another $4,800. So Sean has been here at our sales lock-in, and he has done over $10,000 in premium in less than 24 hours on 2 appointments.
Yeah, and I just wanted to make a point though. I mean, those expenses. The only other expenses we have is for E&O insurance.
Yep,
once a year. We buy once a year. Yep, and then we buy licenses in more states.
That renew every 2 years.
That renew every 2 years, and then maybe we buy a CRM to help us organize our leads, and that's about it.
And then you know maybe if you want to go another level, you start building an insurance business. You've got some agents. You start to build, you know, a team. You have some staff. You know, I've got 3 full-time staff. That didn't happen overnight. You know, I had my first staff for, you know, almost a year and a half before I hired my second staff. Now I'm 3 years in with 3 staff. You know, I've got an office, I pay rent, other people pay us rent to stay in here. So the expenses can get up there, but also the commissions, the overrides, the bonuses, all of that stuff can get up there too. So it's pretty exciting.
Absolutely. That's the fun part about it.
So who out there, kind of as we're bringing this home and landing the plane, who are you looking for? Who, if you could work with anybody in the world and just kind of create your perfect agent avatar, who would they be? Look,
man, I don't care about skills. I don't care about skills whatsoever. What I care about is ambition. I want somebody that has the drive, the ambition to do better for their family, to do better for themselves, and that are open-minded to learn. Because I can lead a horse to water, but I can't make him drink, right? I can teach him how to sell. I can teach him anything about this business. You know, there's things that I still don't know about this business, but you don't have to know everything to hit Hall of Fame.
Nope.
You know, you've hit Hall of Fame twice now.
Yep. And
so did you know everything about this business?
I still don't.
No, and I still don't either. And that's what's so cool about this business. We're always learning. But that's the thing, is skills are the minor thing in this business. Yeah, it helps if you have some sales experience, but if you don't have any sales experience and you come with the heart to serve and the willing to learn, or the will to learn and the humbleness, I mean, you're going to succeed in this business. Those are the people that I want.
That's awesome. So, I mean, if that's you guys, you're out there and you're looking at this and you're saying, hey, I've been seeing what Sean's been doing. I'm interested in changing my life. This could be it. Also, at the end of the day, sales is hard. It's commission-based sales, 100% commission. We purchase leads. There are people who say no. There's people who reject us if that's something that's not attractive to you, something that scares you, if rejection is something that just kind of makes you, get crippled and curl up into a ball, then maybe this might not be a good fit for you. However, I came into this business with, a lot of fear, but this business also gave me confidence. It taught me how to do hard things. And if you're someone out there that, like Sean said, is ambitious, somebody who especially is teachable and coachable, we've got a business model here that could be the thing for you. So we hope that this video was helpful. We hope that maybe this inspires you to reach out. Obviously, reach out to Sean, his cell phone, his email, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn. He's out there. He wants to help you. He wants to help you go out there and help some families, help your family. We appreciate you, Sean. Thanks for coming in.
Thanks, Jamie, for having me. Appreciate it, man.